start in about a minute. In about a minute, we'll get started. How are you this morning, David?
Good.
How about you, Carson?
I'm doing fine.
All right. All right, here we go then. All right, so the homework last night was our first foray into adding integers. In other words, adding positive and negative numbers together. I said we're going to do this for 3 days. Now, some of you may have become experts at it in one day. Others of you will become familiar with it in one day, and others of you might still be a little bit clueless on this. We're going to do this for 3 days. The second day, which is today, I'm going to give you a repeat of the same class, except I'll skip some of the explanations of the coin method. Basically, is the only thing I'm going to skip. So you're going to hear the same stuff today. And then tomorrow we will have a third day. And the third day is primarily designed for the kids that are still struggling with this. So tomorrow I'll start the class and say, all right, we're going to do a practice day on this stuff. The worksheet is already posted. If you know what you're doing, go ahead and get started. And then for everyone else that needs help on the worksheet, I will go through the worksheet one problem at a time. I'll work it through with everyone. So everyone that needs help can get help. I can individually give you help if necessary at that time as well too. So for those of you that find this process painful after the second day, well, then you don't have to come to the class if you know what you're doing. Don't assume you know what you're doing. Make sure. So how are you going to make sure you know it? Excuse me. How are you going to make sure that you know what you're doing tonight for homework? I'm giving you the answers to everything. So on the worksheet, on the last page are all the answers. So as you do the work, you're going to check every single problem. You're going to check so that tomorrow I can give help for the people. Make sure you make note of the ones that you miss. See if there's any pattern. Like I'm missing the ones where both numbers are negative, or I'm missing the ones where the numbers one's positive and one is negative. So keep track of that. And then tomorrow I can individually help you out on those problems. Okay. Also, make sure you're turning your homework on Teams. I am putting that in the grade book. The quarter started on Tuesday, so you only have one thing in the grade book. And if you're missing one homework assignment, you automatically have an F. So make sure you're putting your answers in the on Teams. So it's another worksheet. It is already posted. I don't want anyone to check out. I do want you to stay through the whole class. It'll be a shortened class, maybe 20, 30 minutes. But we're going to make sure that every single person in the class understands the 2 rules for adding integers. So here we go, adding integers. Once again, all we're doing is just simply adding integers. There are 2 rules, and the 2 rules, one of the rules talks about when the signs of the numbers, you're going to be adding 2 numbers together. When the signs of the number are the same, that means you have a positive plus a positive, or both numbers are negative, so a negative plus a negative. So there on the bottom there are your 2 examples of when the signs are the same. The second set of rules is when the signs are different. That means one is positive and one is negative, or vice versa. So notice 4 plus -2 or -4 plus 2. I do want to point out at this moment is that you always look to the left to find the sign. And if the first number is positive, notice there's nothing written right here, positive or negative. So when there's nothing written, that means it's positive. Okay. Notice when the first number is negative, there will absolutely be a negative symbol. Okay. Secondly, when the second number is positive, notice, well, there is no number, there is no positive or negative written right here. Once again, if there's nothing written there, we assume, or we don't assume, it is positive. Okay. So with that out of the way, well, let's talk about the two rules one at a time. So one rule deals with same signs and one deals with different signs. The complexity of this entire chapter has to deal with you get all these new rules. So the rules for same sign, remember that means both numbers are either positive or negative. So the rule is, hey, look, both numbers are positive. 7 is positive and 4 is positive. Or 7 is negative and 4 is negative. But notice I'm still adding both. And how do I know I'm adding both? I'm adding both because, well, there literally is a plus symbol. Starting on Friday, there won't be a plus symbol, there'll be a minus symbol here. So on Friday, we will deal with the rules for subtracting two positives or subtracting two negatives. And there are different rules, okay? But for right now, both numbers are the same and we are in fact adding. So here are the rules. If you remember from yesterday, if you need to have this in front of your face, then grab a piece of paper, and in yellow is what you need to have written down. So for same signs, we take the absolute value of both numbers and we add. Okay, when the signs are the same, you take the absolute value of both numbers and you add. That's step one. Step number two is you look back to what you were doing. Was I adding positive numbers or was I adding negative numbers? If you're adding negative numbers, then the answer is negative. If you're adding positive numbers, then the answer is positive. Now that is specifically the rule for just same signs. When the signs are different, we got a different set of rules. So on these two right here, let's see. Step number one says take the absolute value of both numbers. I said yesterday, this step, the thing that I'm writing right here is what you do in your head. You don't actually write the absolute value of 7 plus the absolute value is 4. You do that. Well, the absolute value of 7 is 7. The absolute value of 4 is 4. Those are the two numbers that you must add together. 7 plus 4 is 11. And then the last step says, look back to the original two numbers and ask yourself, was I adding positive or negative numbers? Notice 7 is positive, 4 is positive. So I was adding positive numbers. The answer is positive 11. I don't need to put a plus right here. Leaving out the plus means it's positive. All right, on the second one right there, let's see, I am adding two negatives. How do I know that? Well, look, there's two negatives right here. So I'm adding because of this plus, I'm adding two negatives. The rule says take the absolute value of both numbers. This is the step you do in your head. The absolute value of negative 7 is 7. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4, so it's still 7 plus 4. We add those together, we get 11, but then we must look back. We must look back at the original numbers and ask ourselves, were we adding positive or negative numbers? We're adding negative numbers here, so the answer here, there should be an equal sign here, is equal to negative 11. There are the rules for adding with same signs. Questions on those rules? Let me change that to an equal sign real quick. That bothers me. Oops. David, how do you feel about this? You think you got a good grasp on it?
Yep.
Excellent. All right, that's better. Okay, so let's do some examples. All right, so step number one, and I'm gonna tell you the steps as if we were determining whether we're adding or subtracting. So step number one is always to determine what are we doing with the two numbers? Are we adding or subtracting? Well, that plus means we're adding. So I look up my rules for adding, and there's two of them, one for same signs and one for different signs. Well, the signs here are the same, they're both negative. So I follow that step and this step. It says take the absolute value of both numbers. This is the thing that you do in your head. The absolute value of negative 12 is 12. The absolute value of negative 31 is 31. Most people just think of this as stripping away the signs and get two positive numbers, 12 plus 31. I add those two numbers together, I get 43. The last step is I look back at the original problem and ask myself, was I adding positive or negative numbers? I'm adding negative numbers, so the answer is negative 43. Okay, another example. All right, once again, I'm going to keep my same script right here. First ask myself, am I adding or subtracting? Hey, look, I'm adding. Right? Remember, on Friday, this will be a minus sign, so you'll say, hey, look, I'm subtracting. Not today. Today we are adding. Second step is you ask yourself, am I adding same or different signs? I'm adding same signs. So take the absolute value, add, use the original sign. All right, so the absolute value of both numbers would be 7 and 12. Notice I'm doing that very quickly now. 7 plus 12 is 19. Last step, I look back and ask myself, am I adding positive or negative numbers? I'm adding negative numbers. So the answer is negative 19. Okay. All right, David, can you talk me through exactly what I just did on this one?
I guess. I don't know.
All right, give it a shot.
I don't know.
All right, do you see the steps on the screen?
Yeah.
What's the first step say?
Says add the absolute value of each integer.
All right, so what is the absolute value of negative 5?
5.
What's the absolute value of negative 4?
4.
All right, so 5 and 4. What does it say to do with those?
Add.
5 plus 4?
Yeah.
So what is 5 plus 4?
9.
Okay, we're done with that step. What's the last step say?
Use the original sign.
So back to the original signs. What were the original signs? Positive or negative?
Negative.
So the answer is?
Negative 9.
Very good. You think you can do that all by yourself?
I guess.
So how did I get, by the way, I didn't tell you any answer there. How did I get you to do this problem? What did I ask you to do? When you said, I don't know what to do, what did I say next?
Follow the steps.
There you go. I just asked you to read these steps and to follow the steps, in which you did perfectly. So I'm going to say, don't panic on this, David. You can do this. You just got to be able to read the steps and do them. And by the way, you just did that one perfect. So here's it with nice, friendly, beautiful numbers. All right, very good. All right, since it's a rule, Carson, it must work with all numbers. So even though we already know 2 plus 1 is 3, it's still got to work. So the steps say take the absolute value of 2. What's the absolute value of 2, Carson?
2.
Absolute value of 1?
1.
2 plus 1 is?
3.
And what was the original signs, positive or negative?
Positive.
Yeah, and only a fool would probably use these rules to do 2 plus 1, right? That seems kind of silly, right? But if it's a rule, it's got to work for all numbers, and I'm just showing you that it does work. So no, I'm not saying you got to use this rule that literally I just did to do these easy ones where both numbers are positive, but you could, and you don't get any extra points for doing that. But I'm just saying that it's a rule, so it's got to work for all numbers. All right, you two go ahead and take about 2 minutes to do these 4 problems, and then we'll go over them. So if you run into any problems, just pipe up and ask a question. Anyone else? Oh, we got a couple more online now. Caitlin, I thought you already did your work.
I haven't done it yet.
Okay,
I was just looking at it.
there you go. That's a pretty good skill to always do an assessment before you actually do the work. Look at what you're doing and ask questions. All right, when we get to it, David, I'm going to ask you to do this one right here. All right, Caitlin, upper left, what you get?
Upper left.
Yep.
Was it the one you circled?
No, that's upper right.
Okay. I got negative 25.
All right, let's see if she's right. So step number one, we determine if it's same or different signs. Hey, look, same signs. All right, take the absolute value of both. That would be 7 and 18. Add those would be 25. We look back at the original numbers to see if we're adding positive or negative numbers. We're adding negative numbers. So in fact, she is correct, negative 25. All right, 24 and 16, they're both positive. We don't need to apply the rules, but if we can. All right, David, this one's yours. Talk me through it.
Uh, mm,
Just read the steps and do them.
uh, 2 plus 6.
2 plus 6, the absolute value of negative 2 is 2. The absolute value of negative 6 is 6. 2 plus 6, David, is?
8.
And what was the original signs?
Negative.
So the answer is?
Negative 8.
That's 2 of them that you've done correctly. Good job. All right, Danny, can you do the last one?
Sure. So they're both negative. So I think, right?
Yep.
So that would just be 10 plus 5.
Yeah, that's 15.
Yeah.
Last step.
Because they were both negative, it's negative 15.
And I'm just going to say you guys are doing this perfectly. If these were the only rules, this would be a really easy thing to teach. The problem is on Friday, we're going to get rules for subtraction. And the rules kind of, well, we get extra work and extra steps. So what typically happens is as soon as I throw subtraction in, that's when I start losing some students. But I'm just going to say, everyone that I'm asking, you guys are killing this, right? You're doing very well. All right. We good to move on, everybody?
Yeah.
All right. So let's go on to the second rule. The second rule is, well, when signs are different. That means when one number is positive and one number is negative. Notice 7 is positive. How do I know it's positive? Well, we look to the left. Notice, draw, darn you. We look to the left and notice there's nothing here that makes it positive. We look to the left right here and that one's negative. So we got a positive plus a negative. And over here we got a negative plus there's nothing here plus a positive. So negative plus a positive. Okay. All right. So the rules for different signs are this. Step number one, it's the same step as the same signs. We take the absolute value. Once we take the absolute value, this time we're not going to add the numbers. We are going to subtract. And how we're going to subtract, there will always be a big and a small number, unless the numbers are the same. But we're going to subtract the big number minus the small. If both numbers are the same, then it doesn't matter the order that you subtract them. Once we're done with that, we got a different last step. We have to think about that thing that we did with the coins yesterday. We go back to both numbers. We're going to go back to both numbers, and we're going to ask ourselves, which one do we have more of? Do we have more positive numbers, or do we have more? I'm not talking about, hey, there's one positive number, there's one negative. I'm thinking about those coins from yesterday. There are 7 positive coins. There are 4 negative coins. There's more positive coins than negative coins. The answer will be positive. On the second one, look, there's more negatives than there are positives. So the answer is going to be negative. So that's what you got to do for those. So take the absolute value of both numbers, 7 and 4, subtract them, big minus small. 7 minus 4 is 3. We go back to the original numbers and we ask ourselves more positives, more negatives. There's more positives, therefore the answer is positive 3. On the second one there, take the absolute value of both, subtract. We still get 3, but this time when we look at the numbers, there are more negative. There's 7 negative coins and only 4 positives. So there are more negative coins, which is why the answer is negative 3 for that one. All right, so there are the rules for different signs. Let's do some. I'm still going to give you the same script as I do each and every time. And that's because eventually we're going to get to subtraction. We ask ourselves, were we adding or subtracting? Hey, look, I'm adding. We got same or different signs. Well, I got a negative and there's nothing here that makes it positive. So I got a negative and a positive. So therefore, I'm in the different sign rule. The different sign rule says take the absolute value of both numbers. This is the step that you do in your head. So 7 and 18, okay? Now I need to subtract these. And the order of subtraction is the biggest number, that would be 18, minus the smallest number. So I do 18 minus 7, that's 11. Last step, I go back to the original numbers, and we're thinking coins here. Do I have more negative coins or do I have more positive coins? I got more negative, which is why the answer is not 11, but negative 11. Is everybody okay with that last step? If there's a problem, it's usually on the last step. Okay.
So because there's more negatives, it's negative 11.
You got it.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. One more example. Negative 6, or negative 6, negative 11 plus 6. All right, so I got a negative, I'm adding, plus a positive. There's no symbol to the left here, so it's plus. So those are different signs. Take the absolute value of both, that's 11 and 6. I subtract big minus small. Well, that would be 11 minus 6. Well, that's 5. I go back to the original numbers, that's negative 11 and positive 6. And I ask myself, more negatives, more positives. Well, I've got 11 negative coins, 6 positive coins. There's way more negatives. So the answer is negative 5. Questions? All right. Let's see who is here that I haven't called on. Nelius, there we go. Nelius, talk me through this one, buddy. Same or different signs?
They're different.
So here are the rules for different. Just do them one at a time.
Ugh.
What's the first thing you got to do?
Take the absolute value of each integer.
What's the absolute value of 20?
20,
What's the absolute value of negative 6?
6,
All right, you just did that. Next step.
big minus small. So
Notice.
minus 6.
Yep, which is?
14.
Okay. Last step, go back to the original problem, right? That's this number and this number. Which one do we have more of? More positive numbers or more negative numbers? Which one do we have more of?
Positive.
So therefore the answer is?
14 positive.
You got it. Now we are lazy. We don't put a plus right here. Oops, sorry. We are lazy. We don't put a plus if the answer is positive, but it is positive, by the way. Oh, would I mark you wrong if you put a plus there? No, but nobody actually would do that. Okay. Neelish, yes, no, maybe?
What?
Yes, no, or maybe. I understand it. I don't understand it. I sort of understand it.
I do understand it.
All right, good deal. All right. You have 4 problems in front of you. Notice all of these are different signs, right? None of these are the same signs. So go ahead and take about a, I don't know, a minute or two. Knock these out. Let's see. David, I'm going to give you this one. Everybody okay to get started?
Yeah, I'm fine.
right, let's see. Carson, the first one, upper left.
That would be 6.
Take the absolute value of both. That would be 12 and 18. Big minus small. 18 minus 12 is 6. We go back to the original. More negatives, more positives. There are more positives, 18 of them, and there's 12 negatives. So therefore, the answer is positive 6. Very good. All right, David, bottom left, talk to me.
Uh,
Just read the steps and do them.
so 8,
And
6.
8 and 6 are the absolute value of both. Second step,
8 minus 6.
8 minus 6 is
2.
we go back to the original problem. Did you have more positives or more negatives? Think of these as the coins from yesterday, right? So the coins from yesterday, right? This is how many positive coins you have. This is how many negative coins you have. Which one do you have more of? I mean, if I had to draw it, right? How many positive coins would I draw? 8. How many negative coins would I draw? 6. So do you have more positives or more negatives?
More positives.
And that's why the answer is positive 2. There you go. All right. Let's see. Danny, upper right, go.
Okay, so different signs. Well,
Yep. I like that.
different si- okay. And so negative 12, 7. So the absolute value of 7 is 7. And the absolute value of 12 is 12. So 12 plus 7,
Whoa.
19.
Read the middle step.
Huh?
Read the middle step.
7 minus 12.
It says big number minus small number.
12 minus 7.
There you go. So I'm just going to say absolutely positively. I mean, I know you're confident in doing this, but you probably need to read the steps to make sure you're doing them. All right, keep going.
Okay. And then it's
12 minus 7.
5.
Okay. We go back to the original numbers. Which one do we have more of? Negatives or positives?
Negatives.
So the answer is,
Negative 5.
there you go. I'm gonna say absolutely positively, when you read the steps, you get it right. You don't have them memorized yet. You will. I mean, no 8th grader by the end of the year has to think this through. They look at it and they say, oh, it's negative 5. But when you first learn this, absolutely positively, you got to read the steps. Some kids will memorize it immediately. Other kids, it'll take a long time to have them memorized, and it's fine either way. All right, who did I leave off? Nelius, you got the last one.
Is the last one negative 15 plus 13?
It is.
So they're both, they are different signs,
They are.
and then there will be 15 minus 13.
All right, because big minus small have to take the absolute value.
Mhm.
That would give us,
2.
and more negatives or more positives.
There's more negatives.
So the answer is,
Negative 2.
once again, same thing as I said to Danny, right? Is when you read those steps, you are perfect. So if you have it memorized, great. If you guys don't have it memorized, that's okay right now. But you need to be able to have those steps in front of you so you don't make a silly mistake. I guess the only thing left to do is to mix it all up. Look what we got going here, box 7. So there's 6 problems. It's a mixture of, I'll go ahead and give you a couple answers here. Let's see, it's a mixture of, look, signs are the same, signs are different. So it's a mixture of same signs, different signs. So the order is you ask yourself same signs or different signs, and then you just follow the rules. Notice, look, I've given you both set of rules. And for those of you that don't have these memorized, that's what you need to have in front of your face when you do these problems. All right, I'll give you guys about, I don't know, 2 minutes to get these done. David, which one you want?
Nah, doesn't matter.
All right, I shall give you this one. Do that one first and then do the rest. All right, everybody else do all 6, please. All right, Carson, upper left, first one, what do you got?
Okay, so there's the same sign, which is the negative number.
Yep,
The absolute value of the first one is, the first digit is 2. The absolute value of the second digit is 6. 2 plus 6 is 8. The original sign is a negative sign, so it would be -8.
-8, there you go. Very good. All right, Neelius, second one. Bottom, middle left.
Okay. So they're different signs,
Yep,
and then it would be 5 minus 2. And then that would be 3. And then there's more 5, which is positive, so it would be +3.
well done. All right, I'll do the next one. Let's see. I got a negative and I got a no name. That means it's a positive. So that's different signs. I take the absolute value of both. That's a 9 and a 5. I subtract. That gives me 4. And then I look at the two numbers. I got more negatives than positives. So the answer is -4. There we go. All right. Did Caitlin drop out? Yeah, she dropped out. Carson? I'm not. Carson, do this upper right one.
There are different signs, so the absolute value of 4 is of course 4. The absolute value of -6 is 6. Big minus small, 6 minus 4 is 2. The larger is the negative, so it'd be -2.
Very good. David.
Uh,
Same or different signs?
Same.
Okay, so follow the rules for same.
Uh, or less than 4.
Okay. Absolute value of -4.
4.
Okay, absolute value of -10.
10.
What do we do with those two numbers? Read the step.
Going to add
4 plus 10.
14.
Use the original sign. Were the numbers originally positive or negative?
Negative
Therefore, the answer is,
negative 14.
and we're done. Last one, the signs are the same. Absolute value of both is 4. Add, we get 8. Originally, they were negative, so negative 8. There are all 6 done. Well done, guys. Any questions on anything we did?
No.
I don't want to drag this out any longer than it needs to go. Clearly, the people that showed up for class know what they're doing. Make sure that these are in front of your face when you do this. Danny, you
Okay.
feel confident?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I will let you guys go. I'll hang out here for the next couple minutes in case you have anything you want to ask. Remember, I'll post the class, I don't know, within 10 or 15 minutes of right now. So if you need to watch the class while you're doing your homework, remember I gave you all the answers as well too. You're supposed to check all your answers. Come back tomorrow. If you have any questions, just show up for the first couple minutes of class. If you're confident, right, you're going to just immediately get started on your worksheet for tomorrow. If you're not confident, you know you were making some mistakes, you're going to hang around. We're going to do the worksheet together. I'll give you some individualized help if necessary, and we'll fix all of our issues tomorrow. So any questions, what's going on tomorrow? Okay. That's it then, therefore, for today, and I will catch you guys tomorrow in class. Make sure you do show up at least to the start of class tomorrow, and then I'll let you go if you don't need any help. All right. Have a wonderful day.